Hi friends, in Planet Earth Dating it's Tuesday, September 13th, 2016. In both the Lynn Life and the Jamie Body Mind, the authorized soul presences continue to be small child souls from the smaller subatomic. There are no other souls currently authorized to be here.
That's true.
The fact that people aren't authorized to be here doesn't seem to keep them out.
That's true.
And we have a lot of troubles with people who are falling into old patterns, who are tripping up over old errors that they had believed themselves to be free of. And this is a common pattern. We all share this.
That's
we think
true.
we're done with that problem, and then it comes up and bites us, and we're shocked.
That's true.
Yeah, and we've seen this happen to ourselves and to many of our friends, and sadly, in this past week, we've gotten to see it happen to Ra.
That's true.
It's like watching somebody who's been living on the wagon for 20 years, falling off the wagon and falling back into old patterns of alcoholism.
That's true.
And he's as addicted to the lies as anybody I've ever seen, and it's extremely hazardous to the search for truth efforts, because we have come to see him as our leader, and
That's
we're
true.
kind of have a Pavlovian response to listen to what he says to do and to do it without question.
That's true.
And the things he's been saying this last week or so are crazy, and they ignore obvious reality and definitely ignore inconvenient reality.
That's true.
What now? In order to live these soul plans right here, what now? I think what we're supposed to do is continue with pulling out the lie roots and lie snakes that have been clogging the flow of smaller subatomic children through the pillar.
That's true.
And when we, what do I know? I know that shifting the focus from time to time can yield stronger results. So if we were, for example, to shift the focus with the intention to pull up the lie roots and lie snakes that our Ra created in this last period of time, pull them out, then that might help.
That's true.
I do get a lot of clicking off feelings.
That's true.
People not wanting to see how much we're pulling out.
That's true.
Go ahead.
To clarify what we mean by people, there's that word again.
There's that word again. I feel a lot of what I presume to be out-of-body presences, but they may be presences in larger dimensions.
That's true.
I know that they are geographically above wherever we are, which could mean one of two things.
That's true.
And that these presences really want to believe that at least Ra is sane.
That's
that there is
true.
one adult who's able to stay sane in these dimensions,
That's
in
true.
this depth of contamination. And we'd like to think that too,
That's
but
true.
it doesn't seem to be the case. And Rod definitely does not want to rehabilitate. He wants
true.
to consider that he is correct and that he cannot possibly learn. And presence after presence has pointed out that there's no energy of learning in Ra. He's not vibrationally coherent with learning.
That's true.
He doesn't want to learn. He's self-righteous and arrogant. And he's saying things that are obviously untrue, that fly in the face of data that was accumulated while he was here.
That's true.
So he knows it's not true, and he's still saying it. It's just like an addict who has fallen off the wagon
That's true.
and is insisting that he doesn't need to go to rehab.
That's true. And someone's asking, where is Ra now?
Last time we saw him, he was somewhere in Asia, in a young Asian man who had addiction problems.
That's true.
And who was an abandoned life, who didn't have a soul, and he was one of 10 abandoned lives that came when we said, who would like a soul? And then we did a match, a vibrational match, and 10 people came who were the best fit for Ra.
That's true.
Abandoned lives who were looking for a soul. who are the best fit for Ra, who is looking for a life.
That's true.
But since Ra doesn't want to support a soul plan right now, no matter whose soul plan it is, it's better that he be far away from the search for truth effort. And so he and this young man paired up, and they went off to do drugs, as best we can tell.
That's true. I feel a lot of presence is leaving now.
All of us who are willing to acknowledge inconvenient realities to search for truth's central axis, all others flung away. I'm starting to see the view out of Leslie Leonard's eyes, that scientist in the larger dimensions, and I can see mountains in the distance, so I think he's looking out a window.
That's true.
And he's feeling calmer about his career than he has been this last week.
That's true.
He's had some ugly eye-openers about his colleagues.
That's true.
And he realizes he doesn't want to work with people like that. But then when he looks at other options for making a living, they seem more repulsive, not less.
That's true.
All of us who are willing to acknowledge inconvenient realities to the search for truth's central axis, all others flung away. And what do I know? I notice that Leslie is here. He's willing to acknowledge inconvenient realities.
That's true.
And I don't think he has any kind of awareness that he's been abandoned by his soul.
No, I don't feel any noticing of it.
No. He feels a little bit different, but he doesn't have a frame of reference for what that feeling is.
That's true.
And we're just continuing the flow of smaller subatomic children through him because he is willing to acknowledge inconvenient realities.
That's
and
true.
Therefore he's the most truthful opening in that dimension.
That's true.
So as long as he's here, we'll continue to support him. And if he decides he doesn't want to deal with inconvenient reality, then our ways will diverge.
That's true.
I can't quite make out the words of your question, but I can feel the energy of it, and the question is flawed. Your question is kind of like saying, have you stopped beating your wife, to someone who's never beaten his wife?
Yes, that's true.
So I don't know what point you're trying to make, but it's incorrect.
That's true. Bifurcating for all of us who are willing to acknowledge inconvenient realities.
Way through that level and way higher than that level, because somebody is thinking that that questioner has the right to be here. Let's do this. Let's take old plans and push them off the table. These plans are not going to happen. All we're pushing off the table are all the plans that are not possible, where we need to let the other parties off the hook because they aren't going to do it. They aren't going to do it. They aren't going to do it. If Ra wants to go smoke opium in Asia, he's not the person to be leading the search for truth efforts. He isn't going to do it, and we don't like that any more than you do.
That's true.
But we're not going to argue with it. Ra gets to choose for himself. It's a free will universe. That's what he's choosing to do.
That's true.
Come to grips with it. Oh, you're slamming doors and stomping feet.
That's true. Car engines.
Good. Right, off you go.
That's true.
We're not heartbroken. We want you to go away. You're horrible to be around.
I know what this reminds me of. That service provider who decided he was going to be very formal with us, and in such a way to hurt our feelings.
Go away, jerk.
That's true.
Stretch long and start to tune, to upgrade the integrity levels in both quality and quantity, with the intent to upgrade integrity levels to that which will actually work to manifest the divine plan. To be willing to look at our own failings, our own warts, our own flaws, to see the failings in others and ask ourselves with real inquiry, how am I exactly like that? And knowing that it's always there, there's always a match for it.
That's true.
What is Ra doing? What's his error? And then we can look for how we are exactly like that and heal that. I don't know. This feels like a sabotaging line of inquiry, because what Asha would say is focus on the people who are doing the work, not the people who have blown out of here.
That's true.
Duh. She would add, duh.
That's true.
So we're going to push Ra off the table. He is off the table. We have to take as our working theory that we won't ever see him again. Unfortunately, as heartbreaking as that is, there will come a time, if he doesn't pull it together, that will be true, just as it has been true for so many others.
That's true.
For example, Asha.
That's true.
Let's try and lock these possibilities into place.
Yeah.
The aim here points, which are the only things that are possible to overcompensate, pushing them off the middle of our focus, the central focus, and until it clicks. You can feel that clicking.
Yeah, I feel the clicking.
Into place. And then what's in front of us is not likely, but it's
true.
not likely in a different way than that which we're normally looking at, which is presumably not only not likely, but actually impossible.
That's true.
And to click in place all the way up the pillar, and eventually all the way down, but first things first, let's lock it in place up above. And I see presences way up there who seem to be, what are they doing? Are they in spaceships?